Hi, and we're back with Therapist in Conversation. In the conversation today with Rachel Gedney, who is a person who does a lot to do with joie de vivre. And at the moment, we could do with a little bit of joie de vivre, I think. She's also doing something called House at Feminine and is a relationship and intimacy guru person. Rachel, hi, how you doing?
Hi Leslie, thank you for having me. I'm fine, thank you. It's a lovely day here. I don't know where it is with you. I'm literally the opposite end of the country to you. I'm
Oh
down
yes,
south.
yes. In Scotland, it's still full summer. It's dark, dismal, and there's a bit of rain on the way. So
Oh, I better not tell you how lovely it is here then. I've been cycling by the sea, which is literally just down the road from me, which is
yes, and I know
fantastic.
that can be an adventure for you.
It is wonderful, I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. I am slightly jealous that you're by the sea, but there are the way that we get our joie de vivre in life has got to do with actually how we perceive our surroundings, has it not?
Well, yes, it is, absolutely. I mean, for me, obviously, with the joie de vivre, it's very much connected with the relationships and intimacy. I mean, me personally, I've been through the divine feminine and tantra routes. And so for me, it's very much leveled at that. But equally, because I have been a health and fitness consultant in my past, and it is very much a part of me and who I am, that is important, the vibrancy and the joie de vivre. So yes, it is. It's a perception of your life for a start. It's not about thinking positive all the time, because as far as I'm concerned, and with all the work that I do and all my teachers, you embrace all emotions regardless of what they are, but it's not wallowing in the negativity. But you can't be positive all the time. But it is about, and because I serve women who are 40 plus and who are either perimenopausal or going through menopause or have gone through menopause, whatever. I mean, I was late to the party, but having been through it myself, I know that I was lucky. I didn't have too many symptoms, but I know a lot of women do. So it's really reclaiming that joie de vivre that we've had in our past, but being an even better version of ourselves, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Remembering that even although you're getting hot under the collar, there is life on the other side of that.
There is indeed. I mean, I didn't have those kinds of symptoms, so I was very lucky, and I'm coming out the other side of it. But there are ways of dealing with it, and I use essential oils in every area of my life. I was a skeptic, but once I'd started using them as a sample to try things, I was just blown away by the effectiveness. I use all natural products anyway, because I'm allergic to so many chemicals, and that is very much a part of the divine feminine, using natural and organic as much as you can products, but also with essential oils. And that is very much obviously the goddess type and the queen kind of thing, because if they were good enough for Cleopatra, they're good enough for us. So that is very much a part of it. But they are incredible, the oils. So all of that is part of my House of Feminine. Is actually just the name, the overview, but relationships and intimacy is what I actually do.
It is one of those things though, you can't compartmentalize things, which has been happening for years now. People have been trying to compartmentalize, oh, this doesn't have anything to do with that. But actually the root of things has to do with everything, and it shows symptomatically in different areas in different ways in your life. And just because you treat that one part doesn't mean you're getting the root. It's all about power, really, empowering yourself again, isn't it?
Absolutely. And for women particularly, I mean, women's brains and men's brains are completely different, and I do a lot of work on that. But everything, for women particularly, everything is connected to everything, literally, in their brain. So therefore it is connected. All these things are connected. Like, for instance, I have been involved with sports since I was tiny. I was always very sporty. So and my doctor said years ago that I would probably sail through my menopause. And to be honest, I've only had 2 symptoms, one of which I have completely eradicated with essential oils, and the other, the sleep, the disrupted sleep, I seem to be coming out the other side, and that was really getting me down. And I don't take HRT. My doctors, my particular surgery down here is very proactive on natural remedies and natural and alternative therapists and things like that. But they also know me and my history. And I actually did go to the doctor and said, okay, what can I take that's going to help me with this sleep? Because I'm really struggling with it right now. And the first thing he said was, well, you don't take any medication really whatsoever. So I will not give you anything that is, because I mentioned one particular tablet that my older sister is taking, and he said, has she taken Valium? I said, yes. And he said, you're not having that because it's addictive. So he did give me some non-addictive antihistamines, they were, oddly enough, for sleep, because I do take antihistamines because I have lots of allergies. I take them when I need them. But I don't really like taking these antihistamines because like half a tablet isn't quite enough, and a full tablet completely knocks me out for the whole day. So actually I've tried, and I do use essential oils, but I also use a natural bioidentical progesterone cream because I'm low in progesterone. Some women it's low in estrogen, but for me it's progesterone. And that's another thing I teach, is how to know which it is for you. And that's because of one of my teachers. But everything is connected with everything.
Yeah, and I think learning that is learning that it's a self-responsibility thing. You don't wait for someone else to tell you, because they're not going to, because half of them don't know, particularly the medical people. They're very much into the way, here's the pill to cure your ill. And unless you have, as you have, a relationship with your GP that you can go and talk to them and say, look, this is how I prefer to do it. Now, there are a few who are diehards and will not even go there.
No, exactly.
Now, particularly, I mean, we are seeing the younger ones coming up, and they're actually prescribing Japanese tree bathing, going out for walks in nature. And I think that that's really, really important. And I heard recently this amazing thing called nature deficit disorder that a lot of children are dealing with because they don't go out and they're afraid of being out in nature. So the fear is producing cortisol, which is producing stress, which is making things worse. And, you know, it just becomes this whole in on itself continuum thing that goes on. So when perhaps someone like me, it was like menopause was like flipping a switch, because I had to have my uterus and ovaries removed completely at once. And then suddenly there was this, hang on a minute, what have you just done?
Yeah.
And my hypothalamus and everything was going, oh.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's like one of those things that I kind of time my flushes now, because when I have a cup of tea, half an hour later, almost 25 minutes to the dot, whoosh.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's one of those things and it only happens from like the neck up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just this, and sometimes being someone who does body language occasionally, it sometimes looks to people that I'm either getting embarrassed or I'm lying to them.
Yeah.
Worrying slightly. You know, so if someone like me was to come to you, what would their symptoms be? How would they find you? What would they be looking for in their lives to come and seek you out?
Okay, well, I mean, menopause is just a part of what I do. So it would be a woman who is probably, well, she's wanting more in her life. She's realizing she's got flat in her life. She's maybe more like me, probably a high achiever, either in the corporate world or an entrepreneur or whatever. But she's got to a point in her life that something is feeling off and she doesn't know what it is. And I have to say, a lot of the women who seek me out and who are my peers and my teachers, for us, it's very much a case of we're feeling out of place in a man's world. And I'm sure this happens. I didn't feel it really in my 30s. I've always been balanced, very much masculine and feminine. I've learned more how to use them, to utilize them for my benefit over the years, because sometimes I could be too much in my masculine because I'm sporty person, and that requires that. It's a very high energy. And I was giving too much. And you will find a lot of women, they feel depleted. And so they're looking for something. Often they don't know exactly what it is they're looking for. And for me, what happened for me, I didn't really know what I was looking for. I just knew there was something more to life and something more feminine. And I think it's, I've been lucky in my work life that I've been surrounded, because of the work that I've done, and that is in business and finance, oddly enough, but I've been surrounded by men and law. I've been surrounded by men who were it's down here, so it's very alternative, who were very much in touch with their feminine. And I've been lucky that they have encouraged that in me. And strangely enough, as a professional business advisor and financial educator, when I switched from that to the divine feminine and working with women and their sensuality and their sexuality, and started changing my LinkedIn profile to reflect this, the men who I went out networking, I kind of looked at them as I walked in and thought, what are they going to think? Because they know me as business and finance. And every single one of them said, thank heaven you've finally done it. We knew it was in you. We need women like you. But for me, I still wasn't at that place that I felt completely comfortable, and I didn't know why. And I don't know how it came across my bow, but one day whether it was on, I don't think it was on Facebook, I think it was websites or YouTube I was looking at, and I happened to find something, and it was called Red Tent Revival.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly that clicked, and I thought, okay, what's this? And so that was like a free 5-day thing, and that was promoted very heavily. And I thought, I really want to do this. This really looks, I feel like I'm in that mode of, I'm getting older, and I feel like I was in my early 50s, and I thought, I'm in that mode of rising to my queen, but I still have not fully embodied it. There's something still off, and I need to get some more help here and some more education. And so I did a 6-month membership in something called the Pleasure Tribe, which is a mix of what I do in my teaching. And so it's one of those things that women will be looking for, but they don't really understand what they're looking for. They just know something is off, and it could be their relationships. It could be the sensuality or their sexuality, because as we all know, for women who are going through the menopause or coming up to the menopause, their sexuality is all over the place. And, I mean, if they've had the full hysterectomy or something, they feel less than a lot of them. They don't feel like women. And I've even heard women calling their periods the curse. To me, it's the most beautiful thing, because it's what makes us unique, and we can bear children. So I don't understand that, but I get that a lot of women, we live in a man's world, and even in business I have had to switch off a lot of the masculine stuff, because it does not resonate with me anymore. And I think this is where, and a lot of women, they're heading for burnout. If you even look at how the workplace is set up, it's very much geared to men. It's not geared to women who are raising children, who are maybe carers of their elderly family, whatever. It's not geared to them, so they're feeling burnt out, or they're coming towards burnout. So I think that it's usually a combination of things, but I would say it is women who are thinking there's something more to life, but I'm not sure. And they will come across it organically, like I did, because I couldn't put my finger on it. And if somebody had asked me, what are you looking for? I never would have said red tent. I never would have said that.
Interestingly, there's kind of for me, speaking to people like you and with my own experiences, there's a paradigm shift happening with women of our age and, from late 40s on. And it's this understanding that what's going to happen next? What's going on? And what have I missed? What have I not missed? What have I done? What am I going to do now? Because there's this glass ceiling situation that goes on, but then there's also the age stop,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
you're not useful anymore stop.
yeah,
However, we seem to be more moving slightly, this drifting towards, and it could probably do with a little bit of a push, but drifting towards the ancient culture idea of when
absolutely.
a woman has done bearing children and doing this, she has the wisdom, she has
Exactly,
something in her that actually is useful, is sought after, because she's
exactly.
been there, done that, and got the t-shirt.
Yeah,
And it's time now to actually sit and listen to what she has to say, because it's not just
absolutely.
clackety clack clack clacking, it's actually good stuff. They've been
Completely.
through menopause, and we don't, we're only now, I mean, the Japanese cultures and Chinese cultures do venerate their elderly, the Asians particularly, and in India, you know, Hindu, Vietnam, they all do that. They venerate their elders and they look after them and they keep them in the house with them or go to them,
Absolutely.
and they tell their stories. And I
Yeah,
think this is what the red tent does, and the
yeah.
silver tent now. There's a silver tent now.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and for me that's like wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Redheads, by the way, don't go grey. Because I'm
no,
50, I'm 59. But
well,
people don't believe it, because I'm not. But it's and I have had some people say, "Do you dye your hair?" I said, "I've never done anything with it other than wash and go, my whole life."
it got to a stage with me where I started dyeing it because the roots were coming in grey, and then the roots were coming in really, really white, hot grey.
Yeah,
And then we went blonde and they came in dark grey, so they still looked like a, I thought, oh no, it's a mess, I'm just going to leave it now. And eventually it came to be this. So, and I'm watching adverts for television, and young people are paying a lot of money to
I
get this
know,
colour of hair.
I know.
And I'm trying to figure out, what is it that you want to look like? Because it's like men, you say, oh, they're distinguished and they're this, that, the other. They have this cachet about them being grey. Women have tended to be afraid of going grey because they're
I
past
know.
it. They're not
Yeah,
past it. We actually have, and I mean, I'm talking to you about this, so it's like, we are so sexually aware and vibrant for so much longer, even post menopause.
yes, absolutely. Women get a second wind.
Yeah.
To be honest, women get the second wind, and not just in their personal lives, but also in their careers. And I know this because of the groups that I'm in for business and female entrepreneurs. And there are a lot of women in there. In fact, my mentor, who I'm going to have for 6 months, starting soon, she's in her 30s, and she reminds me of me when I was her age. And interestingly, the conversation we've had, and I said to her, okay, just tell me the truth. What is your age, your kind of age group of women? She said, oddly enough, a lot around your age. And I said, that's really interesting that you get that. And that, she said, you've done what I'm doing now, or we're like each other. And I said, I know, that's what I feel. But at first I thought, I wonder if her age group of women is younger, but actually she seems to get that women, as they get older, she's done a lot of spirituality and stuff, and she realizes that as women get older, they get a second wind. And I know this from dancing salsa, and a lot of my female friends who are single, a lot of us have been married and divorced, but we're single, and we are far more vibrant and far more going for us than men our age. There are some who are older and still have that, but it's very few and far between. Within the dance community, you find that they do take care of themselves because that's kind of just the nature of dance. But as a rule, but people don't think, when they see us dancing, they don't believe that we're our age. And we constantly have, well, you don't seem your age. And we go, well, what is our age? What is that? We're redefining everything, and we
Yeah.
are going back to those archetypes. And I feel a real connection with the priestesses and things of ancient Egypt. That is how I kind of see myself, and other people have sort of said you're like an oracle because everybody always comes to you. I mean, this is how the reason I haven't changed and had a second career. The relationships and intimacy has been my unofficial career since I was at school. I've had people coming to, it's just I chose a different career. I chose it.
Yeah, but it's something that ergonomically is there. It's like me with shamanism. It's always run parallel with it and
Yes.
over occasionally.
Yeah.
But it's always run parallel with the other things that you're told, the expectations of others walking somebody else's talk. You will be, you will do. This is what expected of you because it's your duty to be. You are this gender, therefore you must, and or therefore you can't. And it's one of those things though that when you're saying about women getting a second wind, it's almost like a case of someone else paid the piper and I had to dance to that tune. Now I'm the piper and I choose who pays me.
Exactly.
I'm going to dance to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an amazing, freeing, exhilarating, liberating thing to do. Slightly scary sometimes, but there's support there. And you're the kind of person who can lead people to the support and understanding of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
and also, just going back to what you said earlier, there is also this shift of what's happening in the world as far as the patriarchy that we live in. And it's not man hating. And this is my work. It's around the divine feminine. We want the masculine to rise with us. And I've got male teachers, and they were already there. They're teaching other males, and they are so masculine. But there's a difference between the masculine, the macho, and then of course the little boys. And we're seeing it in certain countries that I won't mention. We're seeing the narcissism coming through, and what is happening is, and I don't know that it's going to happen yet, but it will happen in the foreseeable future. These are the dying days of patriarchy. They know, with a movement like the Me Too movement, all of these things, the Dalai Lama was right, that the world will be saved by the Western woman, because we have the capacity to be able to, whereas obviously in the Middle East and places, those women are still repressed. They're coming forward slowly, but we are the ones who are going to make the change. And those men are, those egotistical men are hanging on. And this is why there is so much nastiness in the politics, particularly in the States with what's going on in there. But we've got a bit of it here in the UK. But you can tell these are little boys who have got mega problems. And this comes out in all the work that we do. You can just see it. I mean, yes, I was involved with a narcissist, but I've studied psychology as well, and it is part of my work. And so I can see it straight away, who is and who isn't. And it's phenomenal. But as I say, these are the dying days of patriarchy, but it's actually building a balance. I mean, to my mind, we shouldn't have one leader. We should have two, one male and one female.
Yeah, I think it's
in power.
It's about balance. It's balancing the scales.
Totally.
And this fear-based, this boulder of fear that takes the scales this way or that way, and so you get this pendulum swing straight to there. The pendulum's starting to come to rest in the center now.
Absolutely.
And if we can educate and allow people to understand that they are actually the most powerful things in their lives.
Yeah. Well, everything comes from within, and we do go deep. It is deep self-inquiry, and my male teachers do that with their men. That it's deep self-inquiry. Now, with men, there are far more women who are prepared to go there than there are men, far more. And I try not to use the word work, like inner child work and shadow work. I call it self-inquiry and meeting your inner child and your shadow, because work to men sounds like, oh God, more work, but you do find there are a lot more women who are prepared to go there and go that deep. And I know this from,
let's face it, with men it's a completely alien concept to them because of the way they were brought up. But the interesting thing is that for the most part they were brought up by women. So we have some responsibility over this.
Absolutely.
We have to be able to understand that allowing a man to bring his son up in a complete clone of himself, with the macho going, playing with guns, doing this, doing that, fighting, boxing, whatever, is a cultural anomaly, because we don't really need to go hunter-gathering anymore.
No, exactly.
The way that we gather is we go to the supermarket, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
We should be gathering more, carefully. We should be going back to butchers at the shops if we eat meat. We should be going back to local growers and farmers markets.
Absolutely.
As much as we possibly can, making cooperatives, getting allotments, doing it that way, because that's bringing back community.
Absolutely.
We lost the balance when community went out. So when it comes to the stages in life, each stage in life has a community.
Yes.
And we have to find that community and use the resources within.
Yeah.
You're actually going to be the one who's spreading the word about that, because you told me earlier that you're going to be doing online courses.
Yeah.
And you're writing them at the moment.
Yeah.
And you're also going into the big male echelon, which is the corporate business world. With this idea and allowing women to stand in their sovereignty.
Absolutely. And there are a lot more women. I mean, interestingly, being on LinkedIn, which is obviously quite, it is meant to be the business platform, but I've only ever had compliments from men and women for doing what I'm doing on that platform. And a lot of the women who come to me are corporate women who are just feeling out of place. And you get to that point in your life and you're feeling that there's just something not right. And they are experiencing, the menopause is becoming an open topic now. That there's a lot of women who are lobbying Parliament, etc., and taking it further. So it does become like the children within the workplace, giving women time off and maternity. And now they're looking at menopause as a very real issue, because, I can only imagine what some women must go through. And having been in my 20s in an office environment and remembering what two of the members who were in their 50s went through. I mean, they were horrible. They were really horrible. They were hated by everybody because they were just vile. But now I understand, because of what they were going through in their menopause. And it wasn't talked about then. It was taboo. Like sex and sensuality is becoming a more discussed topic in the best way, not in titillation, etc., but in the best possible way, as education.
That could be a direct answer to the free porn that's going around for children, that they can access on their phones without their parents even knowing about it.
I know.
Because it's just always there, because it's you just have to put in 2 letters on Google and suddenly there's a pornographic website coming up in front of you for something.
I know.
Actually, this is what's going on, because they're being educated by peer education. Then, and that happened to all of us.
Yeah,
but what's absolutely happening with them now, we're actually seeing, no, honey, that's not what sex is. That's not what relationships are. That's not what intimacy is.
No, exactly. And I mean, I'm lucky living down here, because it is very alternative. We have a big gay community down here, but it is a very alternative community. You can be whoever you want to be, which I love. You get quite blasé about what you see on the street, but you can be who you want to be, and you are accepted for that, which is a wonderful place to be. But one of my closest friends actually has the most beautiful erotic boutique down here. Forget Ann Summers, this is to die for. You walk in and you just want to live there. It is, the one word that comes to mind is sumptuous. It really is beautiful. And she and I both come from very much an educational background. Both of us. It's education through and through. There's nothing she doesn't know about her world and her subject. And a few years ago, she and I used to hold events for women, like social networking events for women in her shop. I cannot tell you the amount of women who, because I used to run these events in boutique hotels, in shops like Zara, as well as spas, but also in this shop. And the 2 nights, they were fairly close together, that we held events in her shop, we were oversubscribed. And I had private messages from women saying to me, I am so grateful for you having this event in her shop. I have wanted to go in her shop for years and never had the courage to do so. Everybody bought something, whatever it was, whether it was toys or whatever, they bought something. And I thought, isn't that interesting? We live in a very progressive town, very alternative, everything goes and anything goes. And yet there were so many women who felt shame about going in her shop. I walk around town with my bags from her shop and I don't care. Big or small, I don't care. But I feel, for me, it's not, oh, let's go see what's in there. It is very much right. I need such and such. I'm going in there for that shop. To that shop.
A little bit like post-menopausal femininity is an attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, very much so. But you know, there are younger women. There are younger women who are getting there. There are a certain type of younger women, but I am noticing it through my local red tent. Most of them are younger than me. Most of them are in their 30s and early 40s, and I'm in my late 50s. There were 1 or 2 of us who are older, and it's like I can see, I've been there, done that, where they're at, but they still actually are, they're needing someone like me and my peers to help them to get there. But there is a path that they have to go through, just as we did, to get to where we are and feeling confident in who we are. My body has changed. Now, I'm a very sporty person, but I had a really bad injury and I've gained weight and my boobs have decided to explode. And it's like, crikey, okay, so this is new. And I'm dealing with that. And there's part of me as a sporty person that goes, oh, for heaven's sake, they just get in the way. But there's another part of me that is like, be grateful that you've got these amazing boobs, because so many women would love to have the cleavage I've got. And 3 of my girlfriends have had breast cancer. One of them has had double mastectomy, and the other one has a single mastectomy. So you have to put it into perspective, and your body is your temple. Your body is beautiful. But one of the things that we also teach is about not just learning to say yes, but also learning to say no. And your body does change.
And it's also a case of that sex isn't necessarily intimacy.
Sorry, say again?
Sex isn't necessarily intimacy.
No, absolutely.
We need to learn where that disconnect started.
Exactly.
It becomes just a kind of roll on, roll off berry situation.
There's so much more to it. I mean, I have practiced Tantra and I want to train with my own Tantra teacher. She's a goddess, you know, she's in her early 70s and doesn't look like it at all. And she's everything that I aspire to being, and hope I'm still like that when I'm her age, because it is so important to learn. I mean, again, I've learned with men, they don't like the terms and the words and define, but oddly enough, with Tantra, it expands your repertoire. You know, but there are other things out there as well. And I teach women who might be interested in sex parties or whatever. It's not my bag. And I say, look, this is what I know because I practice it myself. But there is this, and this. If you want to know more, this is where you go to get more information on that, if that is your thing. But it's doing everything without shame or blame, because that's the thing. And of course, the media has such an impact on us. I am one of those people that just goes straight over my head because I understand marketing. So for me, I've never bought into the magazines and stuff, never wanted to be anybody other than me.
Media will use it for its own devices.
Yeah, exactly.
One day you will be a new, vastly wonderful thing and the godsend to the female population, and then next you're a madam.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's what sells papers. You're in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are starting to make these inroads. You know, we've been fighting for years for the catwalks to take older models and models of, you know, I hate this plus size. I mean, for heaven's sake, the average size of a woman in the UK is 14, if not 16, I think
I
now.
think it's 16 now.
Is it 16 now?
Yeah, I think so.
So, you know, it just is ridiculous that we don't have all of this. We are starting to make inroads, but it's, you know, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen as quickly as some of us would like it to happen, but it is constant. We have now, it is time for women around the world who have a voice and who can have a voice without being thrown in jail to rise. I mean, the beautiful thing I have to say is the beautiful thing in the, not in the Pleasure Tribe, but when we did the 5-day red tent, all the free stuff, we had about 40 odd thousand people from around, women from around the world. And we had quite a lot of them from the Middle East countries as well, which was fantastic. They couldn't obviously enter the 6 months Pleasure Tribe because they just couldn't give that much time, and they could be found out. But it is so good that we are even getting through to them, and things are starting to move. That is going to take much more time to
One of the things
happen.
that, as Professor Keegan has said, uh, when we go into life, and with life is work, when we go into our jobs, or, you know, we have to take our humanity with us.
Absolutely.
And the fact of sex and sexuality is just one small part of that.
Of course it is.
But what we do outside of work, with the joie de vivre, finding that joie de vivre again, finding your sovereign self, finding how to give yourself the power, the permission to take power, then that basically is something that you're going to be helping people with. So,
absolutely.
Rachel, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, my website, my new website is houseoffeminine.org. So you can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn is where I am mostly. Facebook, I do have a presence on all platforms, but I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Yes, I am on Facebook as well. So if you want to connect with me there, but House of Feminine is really where everything is at. It is a big site. There are a lot of resources on there for women. So, and it is women 40 plus, because that seems to be what resonates for me now. You know, it's not that I'm excluding, but very, you know, and I was sort of asking in certain groups, some of my business groups, for some advice about stuff. And there were one or two women, oh, it's very feminine, it's not me. And I said, look, you have to niche. You have to have your niche. You can't be all in business. You cannot be all things to all people. You shouldn't be either. You know, interestingly, I don't work with transvestites, or it's not because I'm anti them. It's because they probably have the, you know, they've got specialist people. I know nothing about really that world at all. Yes, there are certain things, but very interestingly, I had a heterosexual male cross-dresser who found me when I was in my other website as the Wisdom Mentor, but he found me on LinkedIn and loved my stuff and said, I really want to be more feminine because I'm a cross-dresser, and you seem to be the one that I resonate with. So, you know, who knows what it's going out to, but houseoffeminine.org is where to find me, really.
Okay, well, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us your time in Therapist in Conversation as well. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Leslie. I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.